I am Father J.K. Adams from the Oregon province of the Society of Jesus, and I entered in 1985. I was born in Great Falls, Montana. That's the farthest reaches of the Oregon province, pretty much, pretty close. Was raised in a Protestant family where I was raised there until I went to college. At Pacific Lutheran University, actually, and for a long series of reasons ended up living in a small railroad town in north central Montana where there happened to be a Jesuit parish. And it's there that I met the Jesuits, became Catholic in 1980, entered the society in 1985. I considered life in ministry early on, even as a Protestant. And that made a relatively smooth transition when I entered into the Catholic world. So I would say the earliest would be my teenage years when thinking about ministry. About priesthood, not till 25, 26, because I entered when I was 29. And so it's sort of been there. I'm was one of those kids that was sort of born with faith. I don't know how that happens or why it happens, but it did. So I've always had sort of a heart for God and mission and that kind of thing. There was a couple of Jesuits that I hold sort of as heroes, mostly Father Mike McHugh, who has now recently passed away, and Father Tom Colgan, who's now at campus ministry at Canisius in Buffalo, both of which were sort of my first connection to the church and inspired me by the way that they loved people sort of universally and reached out to people, and the first experiences of the sacraments and the way that I've grown to love them. And I wanted to be like them. You know, I thought life as a Jesuit would be beautiful, and it is, don't get me wrong, but you know, floating on air because you'd be so close to God all the time and so fortunate to be able to just be immersed in all this bliss and all these wonderful men that we're committing ourselves to. And it's real life, and it's not those things. It is beautiful, but it's beautiful in the struggle. And I love that now and wouldn't want to be what it was I thought it was going to be. You know, unlike my thought that life was wonderful, would be wonderful and easy as a Jesuit, I think a lot of young people think our life is difficult and miserable. That because we don't amass things and we don't get married and that we must have a fairly dismal life. I guess one of the things I always try to show to them, not put on, but really show to them, is that this is a beautiful life, that I love being a Jesuit, that it is a fulfilling life. It's a fun life in many ways, not in any naive sort of way, but the most real sort of way. So I'd want to say to anyone, consider this as one of those options that's going to make you happy. You know, of course, pray and seek what it is God wants, but don't think of it as something so hard and such a sacrifice that you're willing to do it because you're wanting to be faithful, but boy, it's going to be tough and miserable and hard. I'd want to say, you know what? You may actually find yourself happy here. I'm Father J.K., and this is my calling.